Recording this. All right, we're recording. We're live. Good. You're going to attract the people that you are. You don't attract the person and the people and the clients that you want. You attract the people that you are. And I've talked about this plenty of times. Many of you on this call right now are in network marketing or in some form of leadership. And if you really want to increase your own leadership, is do this. Become the leader, become the person you want to attract. Right? So if you want your team, when you're running your own team calls, if you want them to engage, are you engaging on other people's calls? Are you attentive? Is your camera on? Is your notebook ready? Are you showing up on time? Are you engaging on that person's call? Because guess what? Whether you believe it or not, the law of attraction is always working. It's always working. And even behind closed doors, even if somebody else doesn't see it, you yourself see it. The universe and yourself see it. So if you do somebody dirty, or if there's something you should be doing and you're not doing it, only you and the universe are the people that are going to know. And guess what? You're going to attract the same people back. You want to have customers pay you up front and pay on time? You pay on time. Are customers falling off your subscriptions? Are you paying your bills on time? Are you paying your taxes on time? Are you paying your rent on time? If you start paying your bills on time, your customers will start paying their bills on time. It's really funny how this stuff works out. So guys, I'm really, really grateful for today. And today it's going to be an amazing, amazing call. Let me introduce myself. My name is DeAndre Saxton, and I am a certified Bob Proctor Consultant, Uncle Bobby P. Yo, drop an Uncle Bobby P in the chat, man. Uncle Bobby P changed my life. He's changing people's lives. I get DMs every single day from people who Uncle Bobby P has impacted. And at 87 years old, he's making headway. He's making changes. Yo, I'm in this inner circle, and we were on a live call, and Uncle Bobby P's talking about a 10-year game plan at 87 years old. I'm like, Uncle Bobby P, you're wilding out here, bro. Uncle Bobby P at 87 years old talking about a 10-year game plan. And then we got people who are 20 years old that don't even know what they're doing tomorrow, you know? And it's so crazy how a change in your perspective, a changing in your awareness can really make a big change in your life. Guys, I got started out as a consultant back about 6 months ago, and it completely changed my life. It completely changed my life. And I wanted to do these calls. I love doing these calls for free, right? Because there was a point that in January, I had no more than $500 in my account. Like, I could not even afford no kind of coaching. I could not buy no program. Actually, here's the thing. I was knocking off programs. I don't know if there's somebody on the call. I was knocking off programs. There's certain websites that you can get all this shit for free. You can go get courses, $5,000 courses, $2,000 courses for free. You can knock them off, spend like $20 or something and knock them off. I did that for 5 years and I got no results. And as soon as I put money into the universe, shit started happening for me. And I never knock shit off no more. I don't knock shit off no more. And so I do these calls for free because I love giving value. I love giving these calls for free because at a point I would have loved to hear what I'm hearing here, because I would love to have somebody who had invested at least $80,000, $100,000 in coaching, comes on a call once a week for an hour and does it for free. So I appreciate each and every one of you, whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're watching on Instagram, whether you're on the Zoom. And this call is going to continue to grow. And you know how it's going to grow? With two things. Number one, me providing you with immense value to the fact where you're like, shit, I'm never going to miss a Monday mindset call with DeAndre and Bob Proctor. So it's number one, me providing you with 100% value. And number two, it's a team effort. You guys sharing the call. And so without further ado, guys, let's get started. So today we're talking about the terror barrier. But before we get into the terror barrier, I want to talk about something that I went through this weekend. Today it was a crazy ass week. Yo, shout out to everybody that pulled up. Yo, drop a one in the chat if you pulled up. You know, I had clients. Yo, we had 80 people, over 80 people pull up on your boy in Miami. Yo, it was a team effort. It was a movie. I know my boy Quay, he flew in. My girl Morgan flew in. Mike and Taylor flew in. Oh man, it was a movie in that little building, guys. It was only supposed to be 25 people, and she got mad. And here was the goal. Here was my intention with the event. I wanted it to get so big that she got mad and I would have to tip her because there were so many people that came out, so many people that came out. It was a complete blessing to have all 80 people show up. And guess what, guys? The next event is going to be in New York City. We will be in New York City and we'll be out there doing our thing, okay? But here's what happened, family. I'll make sure I'm live on Instagram. This weekend was crazy because I almost like lost myself a little bit because I wasn't going through a routine. I was hanging out with people, right? We had the event and then I was in a boat yesterday. I had people in town, friends in town. And I stopped doing my routine for like 3 days. And my routine goes as follows. Like I wake up pretty early. I do my gratitude journal. I write my goal, my affirmations, first thing in the morning. I do my studies and everything. I started feeling like, even before this call, I started feeling like, damn, like, am I really moving? Like I started questioning like what I'm doing. I started questioning if I'm good enough to really make these changes. Drop a 1 in the chat if you ever do that. Like you just randomly, you question if you're good enough. You question if this is going to work out. You question if the money's going to come. You question if your team's going to grow. You question all these different things. Go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Right. So that was me. Like even me, I'm not perfect, but I was even doing that. And I had to sit down and I had to focus on my gratitude. You see, gratitude will eliminate those feelings of inadequacy, those feelings of doubt, those feelings of worry. So what I would love everybody to do right now, it doesn't matter if you're feeling amazing right now, your morning went amazing, or whether it was the shittiest morning you've had in a minute. I want everybody to type out in the chat right now what you're grateful for. And I want you to feel it. Don't just type it out. I want you to sit and think, what are you really grateful for? Sit, and I want you to feel the emotion as you're typing this out. Don't just type to type, type to feel. Go ahead and do that for me real quick. I don't know what's going on with this. Okay. For waking up. I'm grateful for my open eyes another day, being able to be the best version of myself. I love that. Courtney, I'm grateful for God and my health. Wonderful. I'm grateful for my my brain. Brittany, life and to be in this great opportunity. Roxy, blessings. Right, family. So here's what I challenge everybody. When you're doing your gratitude, I challenge everybody to be specific. Because you have to draw up the emotions. Gratitude is an emotion. So the more specific you are about what you're grateful for, the more emotion you can tie into it, the more the universe or in God will bless you. Gratitude is the lifeline between us and God, and us and our creator, whoever you believe in, God, creator, universe. Gratitude. And when you're specific, like I'm so happy and grateful for my grandma and grandpa. I'm so happy and grateful for the fact that I have an iPhone and a laptop to run an online business. I'm so happy and grateful to have this beautiful view of Miami right now. When you bring that gratitude, and I'm just teaching, I know we're on a little tangent right now, but I'm teaching you guys about how gratitude actually works, because I would do gratitude, but I would never feel it, and I would be broad as hell. I'm so happy and grateful to be alive. Like I mean, that's a good thing to be grateful for, but it was very broad. And when I got very specific about specific things, actually, let me show you guys. So this is here's the actual, the Bob Proctor Paradigm Shift Gratitude Journal. And so here in this gratitude journal, we actually write down 10 specific things we're grateful for, 10 things we're grateful for now in our current state, and 5 things we're grateful for that we want to manifest, okay? So that's very important, feeling is the secret, okay? So I started feeling a lot of like unconditional, like wavering, And here's what I challenge everybody to do. If this is resonating with you right now, if you woke up this morning feeling a little off, I challenge you to get back into basics. Get back into seeking awareness. Get back into understanding yourself. Bob studies every single day. At 5 in the morning, every single day, he's in his studio. He's in his studio every single day, studying. And here's what I noticed. When you study, and when I mean study yourself. Don't study tactics. Like, don't go study like a tactical thing. Study yourself. Study understanding yourself. Study the laws of your being, the laws of the universe. And you'll begin to expand and you'll feel amazing. Drop a 7 in the chat for those of you that begin to study yourself. I mean, studying a part of your brain, the creative ability within you, and you feel amazing after. Go ahead and drop that. I for those of my clients that are on this call right now on TIR, after a lesson of TIR, you're feeling like you're invincible, like you're about to recruit everybody. Everybody's going down. Everybody's getting recruited. We're building a business, right? You have a vision after. So that's what I'm talking about. All right, guys, so I hope you got some vibe from that. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the terror barrier. The terror barrier. Some of y'all going through the terror barrier right before this call, and you're about to go through one right after. What is the terror barrier? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pass it up to Sandy Gallagher because she is the expert on the terror barrier. So essentially what the terror barrier is this, okay? Right now, everybody, we're gonna go back to the stick figure, okay? Let me get my little stick figure, by the way. Hold on. So you got to understand the stick figure. Let's go. All right. So here we are with the stick figure. All right. So we have two parts, right? We have the bigger circle and the smaller circle. You guys can't hear this enough. I hear this every single day and I learn something new. So we have the two circles here. We have the upper circle, which is your mind. You have two parts of the mind: conscious mind, subconscious mind, and body. Okay. So let's talk about the terror barrier right now. What is the terror barrier? The terror barrier is when you come up against a certain situation in your life where you begin to feel fear, anxiety, doubt. And here's what most people do. They either retreat back to freedom, retreat back to where they were before, or they push through the terror barrier. They get hit. And a person has a choice. Do you fall or do you progress to the version of the person you want to become? So Sandy's going to talk about it. So right now, let's just say this person is in an X frequency right now. They have X ideas in their conscious mind. X being, right, they're platinum 2000. They're an A and B or whatever it is, right? Or whatever rank or whatever company, you're earning $5,000 a month. And then they get presented the opportunity to get coached to the next level. And then the terror barrier hits. What if I don't have time? What if I can't make the payment? What if it doesn't work out for me? Right? That's just one example of hundreds. And here's what I challenge everybody to do. I'm teaching this to you guys consciously, but then when the shit hits, you have to remember to apply what I'm saying here. You got to remember to apply what I'm saying here. So this weekend, right, for my live event, I'll tell you an example of my terror barrier. That was the first time I ever spoke on stage, for real. Like when I was in network marketing, I used to run opportunity meetings, right? And that was 5 years ago. But like in the recent years, I haven't spoke on stage in a minute. So I want you guys to understand this. It was a random ass idea to like, hey, let's throw an event. You know, if 5 people show up, great. The event shows up, 80 people there. Oh, Lord. Oh, man. Your boy better perform. You know, your boy better perform. Man, what an experience. Okay, Alexa. What an experience. So here's what I ended up doing was I went in the back and I planted the vision that I was Alex Morton, that I was Matt Rosa, that I was an effective communicator. I started literally speaking myself into existence. I remember saying, DeAndre, you're an effective communicator. You're efficient. You're authoritative. You're humble. And I just started saying this. I started as I'm saying it. I see, you know, Alex Warren, the way he communicates, and Matt Rosa and Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins. And I'm psyching myself up for like 15 minutes in the back. And then I go out on stage, and I mean, based on what people said, I killed it. But that was my first time speaking on this subject. You see, I blasted through my terror barrier. I didn't even allow myself to sit in that terror barrier. I blasted myself way past my current situation. You see, if you're going through a terror barrier right now, it's because you're focused on your current situation. You got to blast past that and focus on the person you're becoming. How would the person you would become, the person you're creating, how would they approach this situation? You see, for those of you that are growing your leadership, you're going to be running some of your first calls, or running your first opportunity meeting, recruiting your first person, or getting to the next level, whatever terror barrier. And you got to ask yourself, how would the person that I want to become approach the situation? Would they be nervous, or would they go out there with a level of confidence and ease? Alex Warren wouldn't be worried about speaking in front of 80 people. He does it all the time. So I approach it the same way. So that was my personal story of what I went through during this last weekend as far as my terror barrier. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Sandy Gallagher so she can break down for you in detail the terror barrier. And guys, what I'm about to show you right now is like this is back office stuff. Like this is stuff that's given to the consultants. So I'm so happy and grateful to share it with you guys. So let me pass it over to Sandy Gallagher.
You really bring the best of yourself to the surface. One thing that really stops people, all kinds of people, is what's called the terror barrier. And the terror barrier is powerful. And what it really is 4 stages of growth. So put your thinking caps on, and I want you to picture you going through these 4 stages. Now, the first stage is bondage. The first stage is where you're stuck, right where you are, no growth. And then you go to stage 2. Now, this is kind of like going from an A to B goal. You come to a seminar, you get inspired, you're like, oh, I'm going to go for this idea. And you start to reason with it, but just in your conscious mind. Very few people get to that stage 2. Most people stay in stage 1 of bondage. And again, they can be incredibly successful, but they're just doing the same thing day in and day out. I got to the point I could do mergers and acquisitions in my sleep. It wasn't inspiring. It wasn't a growth thing for me anymore. You know, what are you doing? Are you in bondage? Or is it you're going and you're going to say, I'm going to reason with an idea. I'm going to go to stage 2. I'm going to think of these ideas. A certain percentage of people get there, but then you got to go to stage 3. What's stage 3? That's when you start to hit the terror barrier. And we're going to talk about why do you hit the terror barrier. And then very few people go through the terror barrier and get to freedom. That's where we want to go. So look at it in terms of stage 1 is bondage. You've got X-type conditioning in your subconscious mind. You've got X-type results because that's what's in your subconscious mind. And what else? You're only entertaining X-type ideas. I love how Troward puts it. In the lesson on entering into the spirit of it, it's a great lesson to read. Mine's like falling apart. But he says, hang on for a second, I'm going to find this because it's so good. He says we habitually look at the mechanical side of things by preference to any other. In other words, we look at what's going on physically. We look at our results. Everything is done mechanically, from the carving on a piece of furniture to the arrangement of the social system. It is the mechanism that must be considered first. And the spirit has to be fitted to the mechanical exigencies. We enter into the mechanism of it instead of into the spirit of it, and so limit the spirit and refuse to let it have its own way. And then, as a consequence, we get entirely mechanical action and complete our circle of ignorance by supposing this is the only sort of action there is. What does that mean? That means that we look at the results outside of us, and an idea comes to us, and it's not in harmony with the results that we have. It's not in harmony with our habitual way of thinking, and so we reject it. And we don't understand that spirit is unformed and we can shape it any way we want. So we limit spirit to this thin, teeny funnel, when we could open up that funnel through our thought and allow all these ideas in and start to entertain bigger ideas. We're not taught that, and we're not conditioned to do that. And so here we are, X-type ideas always coming in, everything else filtered out. We get emotionally involved in the X-type idea, keep affirming the paradigm, X-type paradigm, and we get X-type results. Now, here we're talking about going to stage 2. This is when we entertain an outside Y idea. And we entertain this idea, and we start to play around with it in our conscious mind. And that's all we're doing. But still in our subconscious mind is the X-type conditioning. And so what happens? Is anything going to change in our world with this scenario, this stage? No, it's still a difficult stage because you've opened your mind, you're trying to entertain new ideas, but it's also a dangerous stage because your conditioning is so strong and you want to just push that idea away. And nothing's happening, so you're not getting any tangible results that it's going to happen, so you want to abandon it. You end up wanting to abandon it. So we have to understand we have to go through this phase. We have to experience stage 2. But we want to keep going to get to stage 3. So I had the goal of being in Bob's inner circle. I wanted to work with him. I loved the industry, wanted to create the program with him. But I would go drive to the high-rise tower in my law office, and I'd sit up in my law office, and I'd be doing my mergers and acquisitions and just toying around in my conscious mind with this idea, even building pictures of what it would look like. But I was not emotionally involved in it. I didn't actually think it was going to happen. It was just a nice idea that I'm playing around with. And you can feel like you're doing something with it in that stage. But then I go to this seminar, and the consultant training, and I have lunch with Bob, and I'm in the seminar the next day, and I'm nodding my head, yes, we have a deal. Now things started to get a little real. And you know what happened? My body actually physically started to shake. And it did so for about 2 years. And it was so bad. I remember after the seminar, Bob wanted to introduce, me to everybody, and he had them all in a big circle standing around. He's going to introduce me, and I had a skirt on, and my knees were banging together because I was shaking. Why was I shaking? Because I started to get emotionally involved with the idea. Now look at this graphic. I start to get emotionally involved. I've got the why idea in my conscious mind. I've nodded my head, yes, I'm going to do it. I start to actually imagine that this is happening. Oh my gosh, the first big step has happened, and I'm getting emotionally involved. Now what am I doing? I'm mixing X and Y energy in my subconscious mind and in my body. X and Y energy does not mix well. It's like oil and water. And you've got your central nervous system, this huge computer operating within you, and you've got this chaotic energy, and it starts to physically impact you. How many of you in here this weekend have started to get a headache, or you feel kind of sick to your stomach, or you can't sleep, or you start to get kind of jittery or anxious? Quite a few of you. Well, what do you think's going on? Yeah, you're starting to hit the terror barrier. You're starting to get emotionally involved with this idea, and these energies do not mix. And you're not accustomed to feeling this, and when you feel this way, what do you want to do? You want to get away from it, right? Because what happens is it's a chaotic energy, and it's so easy when you hit this terror barrier, worry, fear, and doubt just fill you, and you just want to bounce back to safety. That's all you want to do. When I was going to hit send, and Bob woke me up. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? And I remember one time I asked Bob, I said, well, I wonder what my dad's going to think when I do this, because I hadn't told him. And he looks at me and he says, "How old are you?" I didn't understand why he's asking me how old I was. And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "How old are you?" I'm like, why am I worried about what my dad thinks when I'm as old as I was? And you just want to run back to safety. And I've had this beautiful letter that I wrote from my heart that I knew would have a good impact on people, but I hit that terror barrier, and I picked up the phone. I knew what I had to do. I knew I couldn't bounce back. I knew I wouldn't have no respect for myself if I bounced back. I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be satisfied. So I picked up the phone and I called him. And you never want to call Bob Proctor when you don't want to do what you really want to do, but you don't want to do it. And I called him, I'm like, I got the letter queued up, and I can't hit send, and I hit send. And I hit it. Now, what did I do? I hit send, and I went through the fear. I love how Joseph Campbell says, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." It is so, so true. You got to go through it. And thank God, Bob said, hit send, and it shocked me. And I had that emotional involvement with the idea, and poof, you go through that terror barrier. Now, does the fear go away? Does that XY energy go away right away? No. So you've gone through that terror barrier, but you got to keep impressing that Y idea on the subconscious mind over and over and over until finally your paradigm becomes the Y energy. And then what do? You create bigger and better ideas, and you replace that Y paradigm. This is the natural process of growth that we are meant to go through. And you start to become accustomed to this feeling. You start to thrive this feeling of going through the terror barrier and stretching and expanding. But you got to go through it, because I'll tell you what, when you are at that point where you're entertaining the idea and you start to get emotionally involved in it, that's a really difficult place to be. And I got on that plane headed back home to Seattle from Delray Beach, Florida, and just like, how am I going to tell everybody about this? How am I possibly going to leave the law practice? And what about my clients? And, you know, all those things. Thinking, imagining what my dad would say, what my family would say. And I decided I'm not going to talk to them about it. I decided I'm just going to do everything I can every day to make this happen. And I'm going to change my thinking. I'm willing to change my thinking. I'm going to do the illogical. You know, I'm going to go against the flow. That what feels like such a strong current of opposition, and I'm going to go against that. And the reason it's there is because it's in harmony with your X-type conditioning. You got to know it's there and be willing to go through it. And I'm not joking. I think I was shaking for about 2 years, just like inside, just like, oh my gosh, because I was so locked into that path. Bondage. I was in bondage. And I didn't even know anything better. But I wanted to break out. And I can remember so many times when it seemed so difficult. But the good news is, as you go through this and you grow and your understanding just keeps expanding and expanding, and you break through that terror barrier and you experience that freedom and you change your paradigm, and you do that over and over, it becomes easier. And the time between when you come up with the idea and when you physically manifest it, it keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. But you got to learn to think from that place. Neville, this is a great book that I would encourage you to read, The Power of Awareness and Awakened Imagination by Neville. And he says something so beautiful in here. Listen really carefully. He says, the future must become the present in the imagination of the one who would wisely and consciously create circumstances. So your imagination is taking you from somewhere where you aren't to where you want to be, to the future. But you have to have it become the present. In your imagination, in your mind. It's happening now. He says we must translate vision into being, thinking of into thinking from. Imagination must center itself in some state and view the world from that state. Thinking from the end is an intense perception of the world of fulfilled desires. It's already happened. You have a desire, you've already fulfilled it in your imagination. It's an intense perception of the world of fulfilled desires. Thinking from the state desired is creative living. Ignorance of this ability to think from the end is bondage. It is the root of all bondage with which man is bound. Now listen to this bit. This is so good. To passively surrender to the evidence of the senses underestimates the capacities of the inner self. Just giving in to what the current circumstances are. And I loved, Kim, what you were saying. You were broke. You had $4 in your pocket. Or 4 pounds, whatever it was, in your pocket. And you could easily have surrendered to the evidence of your senses. But he says, to passively surrender to the evidence of the senses underestimates the capacity of the inner self. Once man accepts thinking from the end as a creative principle in which he can cooperate, you can be part of the creative process, then you're redeemed, listen to this, from the absurdity of ever attempting to achieve your objective by merely thinking of it. Absurdity. If you're just thinking of it, what's he saying in our language here? He's saying, you're going here, you're entertaining a why idea, you're getting emotionally involved in it. Now, when you're just entertaining it in stage 2, you're just thinking of it. He says that's absurd. You're never going to achieve what you want to think if you're there. You can't passively surrender to what your senses are telling you. You've got to get emotionally involved with that idea. Now, what happens then is the terror barrier hits you. Chaotic energy. You want to stop. You want to get far away from that. Gosh, I can remember that going out on stage that first time of teaching, and especially when Bob turned away. I'm looking for guidance, and he literally turned away. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. But then all of a sudden, it's like, I guess I got to go through this terror barrier. And then you are in a different world. You're thinking from that place. And all of a sudden, the ideas are coming to you. Neville calls it the plots, plans, and projections. The ideas come to you. And then you get in the flow. But you got to go through those 4 stages of growth to get there. That's the terror barrier. Really powerful.
Oh, there we go. Now you can hear me. Yo, drop a 1 in the chat if you just learned something new or you just had a new perspective. I've seen that. I've seen the terror barrier a few times. That's lesson 7 in the program. And I still learn something every single day. And here's the thing. I'm sure she said it. You're always going to go through the terror barrier. Here's the difference is when you have awareness, you're able to understand what's going on psychologically and you can blast past it. Like speaking on stage, I could have got emotionally involved in, oh my gosh, what if I mess up? There's so many people here. But no, I chose to say, this is a terror barrier. I'm going to blast right past it. And I projected myself farther past this event, who the person I want to become. All right. So what I would love for somebody to share, let's have one person share one thing they took from this call, because maybe I have a different perspective versus somebody who just heard it for the first time. So I would love, drop a 4 in the chat if you'd like to share. I'll unmute you and just for like 30 seconds or so, a minute, go ahead and share what you just learned from right now on the call with Sally Gallagher when she went over the terror barrier. Drop a 4 in the chat and I'll unmute you. Who wants to share? Don't be nervous, or I'm gonna select somebody. Stephanie. All right, go ahead, Stephanie. I just unmuted you.
Hello.
Hey, Stephanie, how are you doing?
Hi. Good. How are you?
All
right.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. So what did you take away from this 15-minute video from Sandy about the terror barrier right now?
Well, one thing I did pick up was translate your vision into being. I like that one.
Awesome. Translate your vision.
Yeah.
What
your vision, into being. Like, so your vision, you got to translate it into as if it's you. Like, she was saying to live that future as if it's now, to feel it.
Start acting like that person.
Right.
Exactly.
So translate the vision into being, and also get emotionally involved with the idea. So attach that emotion to the idea.
Exactly. And when you do that with the visualization and you start acting like that person, you really turn into a whole other being. You know, you turn into a whole different. I'm gonna go ahead and mute you, Stephanie's a little background.
Okay.
Sharing. But I love for you. I love that she shared that because you turn into a whole different being. You turn into a whole. You start acting different. Like for example, at the event, when I planted in my mind that I am Alex Morton, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Matt Rosa, I'm an effective communicator, I'm an efficient, I am humble, and I just communicate and I declare what I want. I was like a good, like what, Quay, like a good 25 minutes into the presentation. And then I said that, hey, this is the first time speaking. And then people are like, what? You know, they started clapping. I was like, yo, this is my first time speaking. Because why? Because I became I got on that frequency. So the same energy I used to do as a speaker, you can do it to be a chairman 10, an SED, a 10, was that a 50,000 a month earner, 100,000 a month earner, the same energy. You just got to put yourself in that position and you start attracting the people, situations, and circumstances to get you to the next level. You'll begin to embody a whole new version of yourself. So thanks for sharing that, Stephanie. What I would love to do actually is I have probably a few people that were at the event. I would love to hear from a couple people that were actually at the event. You know, what was your experience? Like, what was the environment for you? What did you learn? What did you take away? What was something? So I would love to hear from Daniela Dinero. Daniela, are you there? I just unmuted you. I know you were at the event. Check, by the way, drop a 7 in the chat. She just got started with TIR last night at like freaking 11:30 last night. She came on the boat with us and we just started talking. And I've actually known her, we've known each other for about a year. She started seeing the changes in my life. She came on the boat last night. I was like, yo, I got to get started with Uncle Bobby P. So shout out for my girl, Daniela, for getting started in the program last night. But Daniela, go ahead and share, what was your experience at this event? What was your feeling? What was kind of your takeaway?
Hey guys. So yeah, I was at the event and my biggest takeaway is like 100%, like everything that you do is based on your mental, right? So that's why I kind of got started with the program, because sometimes we can be so negative and we can, like the whole terrier thing, like we can stop ourselves from, you know, taking the next step or acting a certain way. And, you know, it all starts with belief in yourself. Like you hear from wealthy people all the time talk about how like success is like 80-90% spiritual, mental. And I used to think like, yeah, you know, like, yeah, it's all mental, like focus more on the skill, But like DeAndre showing me like, okay, yeah, you can focus on the skill and whatnot, but like if your mental is not there, like you're still going to be stuck in the same spot. So that's why like really shifting your mind and like, you know, just the way you think, is because we're not taught to think a certain way. We're taught, you know, to be an employee. Like that's our paradigm, like to be an employee. Like our school literally sets us up to be an employee. So definitely like you really have to change mentally. And the event was dope. Definitely connected with a lot of other people, you know, a lot of people that want to be on the same frequency and definitely get to the next level. So yeah.
Amazing. Shout out Danielle. She's only 20 years old, girl, guys, and she's holding it down. She got her own apartment here in Miami, holding it down. She's a P2K, about to go platinum 5,000 in her company, which is a 5,000 a month residual income. And she's absolutely killing it, not only in her business, but on her YouTube channel. So big shout out to Daniela on that. Guys, really quickly before I bring up Quay, remember, if you tag me in your Instagram story, you have the chance to get a free one-on-one call with me. I had quite a bit of people, almost like 30 people last week. Go ahead and tag me in their story. But guys, go ahead and if you tag me on whether you tag one of my posts or whether you tag this call, and if you make it really nice, I'll repost it, right? But if you tag me, what I'll do is I'll DM you and we'll just chat and I'll see what's in your paradigm right there in the chat. You know, if you want to hop on a one-on-one call, if you want to learn more about the program, the pricing, literally just tag me in your Instagram story. It's at Miami Patron. and we have the chance to just connect, and you could ask me questions right there on Instagram, okay? So quick little announcement on that. So my boy Quay, Quay, man, the dude Quay, he gets me excited. Like you need y'all need somebody on your team that gets you pumped up. Like you're all leaders here. But then there's sometimes where it's like you might be feeling down or you just might be stagnant. And then somebody on your team gets you pumped up about your own business. That's my man, Quay. We got connected. Oh, you know what? Crazy. Somebody tagged me in their story, and then Quay reached out to me and he became a client. And then he became one of my sales, he is my sales leader right now, sales manager. And dude, this guy's committed, and he actually flew out to the event here in Miami. So we got connected, man, for the first time in person. And this guy's doing something great, but I would love to hear his perspective on the event, because he's also network marketing. He became a top earner, he said one of the top earners in his company very quickly, got results pretty quickly. And I wanted to see from his perspective, what he got from this event. What was the environment? What were the people, how do you think people navigated during the event, Quay? Go ahead, I'll unmute you right now. You already did.
Sir, can you hear me, bro?
I can hear you, bro.
Man, the event, like he was saying, it was unbelievable. Saying it was a movie is an understatement. Definitely one thing to be on a Zoom call, but I mean, in person, live in the flesh is a completely different experience. Definitely held it down. Everybody was, the energy, something about being in a room with a whole bunch of like-minded individuals who are just looking for that positivity and looking for that change is just amazing. Like everybody was talking, everybody was mingling. DeAndre shut it down, like he said. Everybody kind of dropped their jaw when he said that this was his first time on stage. It felt like he's done it a million times. Like very, very impressive. Man, I'm just so happy and grateful that I was able to go. Definitely will never ever forget it. If you get the opportunity to go to the next event, you definitely don't want to miss it. It's wild. It was free of charge. I don't know if the next one's gonna be free, but if it's not, it's definitely worth the price of admission. And as far as a takeaway that I got from it, DeAndre definitely spoke on the law of compensation. And it's 3 steps to it. 1, I took down notes, of course. The need for what you do. 2, the ability to do it. And then 3, the difficulty it is to replace you. So what I took from that was, obviously, if you're in network marketing or if you're running a business, there's a need for what we do. So have faith in that. But number 2 and number 3 is where you can really take your game up to the next level. Your ability to do it. You have to look within yourself and say, hey, am I elite at what I'm doing? Because if you truly believe that you're elite at your craft, then you're going to, have no issues, sharing with people or, promoting your own business or doing whatever it takes, for you to get that result. And then 3, the difficulty it is to replace you. If, you feel as though you're irreplaceable or you're getting those results that deem that, then I mean, that's just going to elevate your paradigm and elevate your, your self-image and your internal belief to the next level. And you have no choice but to get paid with, following those 3 steps. But once again, I like to thank, my man's DeAndre for, the opportunity and holding down the event.
I'm done with that, everybody coming out. And yeah, the next event's going to be in New York, and it's going to be a free event, but guys, don't let something being free take you away from the value you're going to get from it. Because here's the thing about events. I want everybody to pay attention, okay? We're going to be ending here in 5 minutes. I want everybody to pay attention right now. Get off Instagram and pay attention, okay? Your life can change and will change with the people and relationships you meet at networking events. I would not be where I'm at right now from the relationships that I met at different networking events. Okay, like when I got connected to Matt Rosa, when I went to his house last year, when I went to an event when I first moved to Miami, I met my best friend and my close friend and business partner, Kelson. I wouldn't even be close here, man. That dude bailed me out so many times when I was broke. Kelson, Jason Stone, I met at a networking event here in Miami. And through Jason Stone, who I met 2 years ago, I got introduced to everybody else that's pretty much on this call. And through another event, I met a guy named Andres who helped me launch this event and put it together, put the pieces together. And guess what? When I launch New York next month, I'm doing it with the relationships I built here. And a lot of my clients are in New Jersey and New York. So guess what? I literally FaceTime one of my clients. She's in Monet. She's a 6-figure earner, Monet. I called her up and said, hey, I want to come to New York. And then she turns the camera around. She's sitting with 15 people. It's like, we're in. Like, I'm like, holy shit. You get what I'm saying? So it's like relationships at live events are the thing. Is it info available? Not yet. I'm still putting it together. The info on New York, maybe around like the 13th or something like that. But I'll get back to you. But the people you meet at live events are the ones that will change your life. You don't know if you can meet your next stud at a live event, right? The next person you're going to recruit, your next builder, your next client, your next business partner. You don't know who you can meet at a live event. So I encourage you. The next Miami live event will be in 2 months. So we'll do New York and then Miami, New York and then Miami. And as we start expanding the brand, then we'll start doing Vegas and California and all over. And we're turning this into a seminar business. And the Zoom call is one thing, but then when you come to a live event and you spend eventually a weekend with us, it's going to be a freaking movie. So guys, without further ado, I want to go ahead and thank each and every one of you. Remember, if you tag me in your Instagram story, you have a chance for a one-on-one call with me, or you can go ahead and just, message me on Instagram if you have any questions about what I talked about, of the terror barrier, certain things you're going through in your business, your team, your leadership, or if you want information on the program. Everything we just shared with you, it's in the program. You know what I'm saying? Like what I'm going to share with you is exactly what I got from Bob. All right, guys. So I'll see you guys next week. This is going to be the new link. I'll see you guys next time.